Morning at NTV. I'm Andrew Jamagero Muntuawan, and we're live from Kampala's Running Conference Center. It's such a beautiful Friday. This week we started talking maize. Midweek we talked maize. It's a Friday. We're talking maize. Now, Kenya's Minister of Agriculture yesterday clarified that there is no ban on Ugandan maize, only that the country had decided to strictly enforce regulations on quality of produce that enters the country. Quality of produce that enters their country. Now, this is a conversation of concern, especially to the farmers. And we have Agnes Chirabu, the Executive Director, Food Rights Alliance, and David Kabanda, founder of the Center for Food and Adequate Living Rights. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to Mr. Kabanda. Happy Women's Day to Agnes. For purposes of clarity, we can unmask ourselves just to have this conversation better. Agnes, we started this week with maize. The issue is all over. And people are still crying. The farmers are still on the verge of... they've quite lost a lot. You as someone who is on the ground and you deal with these people on a daily, what does this situation mean for both countries, Kenya and Uganda? Mr. Kabanda,
yes,
as someone who is so much more grounded into foods and all that, what are aflatoxins?
Aflatoxins.
Yes, these people use this word just to confuse my people about and see that aflatoxins, it can cause cancer. There was a lot of propaganda online.
It's not a propaganda, it's truth.
No, the thing is, we as Uganda, we could not react to Kenya because there was no official statement that this maize was banned. It was an internal memo from one entity to another that don't allow them to get in here. But the other side, people didn't know. Uganda National Bureau of Standards didn't know about this. So these are aflatoxins and all that. What brings them and how best can we deal with them?
Well, the word is
Aflatoxins, yes.
But to just put it in bare language, that is poison.
Oh, yes.
This poison grows up out of molds because of poor practices in pre and post harvesting through the entire value chain, transportation, processing, storage. So you find that these poisons, let me use that language.
Poison,
yes.
Poison.
Yes, by the time you eat it, it may be at two levels. It might be acute. When you eat, you'll definitely, some people have died.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe we'll have to have
a scientist.
We will be working with Chiravo the coming days. We need to make a clear audit. During COVID-19 complete lockdown,
yes,
UNBS came and told us that 38% of the food that was donated was infected, was contaminated.
Yes.
With high
but
levels.
did they go back to find out the people
who supplied this?
To those who supplied, but also that food was given to people. By the time UNBS came up, people had already eaten this food. You saw the quality of
yes,
beans
I did.
and
I saw the beans.
So people are feeding on poison. Recently, last year, but the other year, people died in Karamoja and everywhere because of this poison called aflatoxins. But I want also to come into the discussion which has just happened. You see, we have kind of agreed that every food environment in Uganda should be privatized, which is okay to some extent. And we have private players coming to the food market, the environment. Now, the moment you wake up and make everything commercialized, now we must have an umpire. The whistle, the person who is holding the whistle is the regulator. So this is why we feel Mr. Government is overly sleeping on the job. The day they woke up and said, we are liberalizing, we don't have food reserves, we don't have a control. This is like having a dam and you don't have a reservoir, you don't have...
It's just flowing.
So it is just flowing. So you can't do that to your people. You must have control. If you have power that is not controlled, which we have
no power,
then you have no power. So what we are telling government, some of us have even gone to court during COVID-19.
Yes, I saw.
Yes, we went to court.
Yes.
And the judges, the judges at high court level didn't understand what we are talking about, because you realize that this has not been discussed.
It's not a usual talk.
Yes, like it is now being discussed. Maybe it is because the farmers have been stopped to take
The traders, not even
Equally
the
because
farmers.
of the aflatoxins,
Yes.
because people are now conscious about the poison they could possibly intake.
Yeah, but before that, before they even worry about whether Kenya or any other country is stopping, the first kind of worry that we should have is individualistic in nature.
Oh, yes.
I see many government ministries, I attend meetings in their boardrooms, even in parliament. You find them serving you roasted groundnuts,
Yes.
and you look at them, enjoying them, like they are going to die. It is not acute, then
Yes.
it might be chronic.
But it will,
But
get to
you
It will
are sure
eventually.
they are going to die. There is a professor called Professor Kaya. I went to Arua and brought groundnuts. I bought them from ladies there, and I had in me, I had, you know, belief that they are good groundnuts. But when I brought them, he told me, no, Kabanda, thank you very much. I'll take the honey, but you take your groundnuts.
Why?
Because he knows.
He knows. You can't eat groundnuts in
But-
Uganda like that.
Why don't we have this information out in the public domain where people know that what I buy on the street is not as safe as it is because I've just fried it and
Let
eaten
me
it?
tell you, my colleague, Chamagero. Do you go to these restaurants, be it any these
I don't eat in
five-star-
restaurants anymore.
Okay.
I eat
Okay.
only home.
Then what about five-star hotels in Uganda, for example?
When I go there, I make sure I take dawa tea.
Okay.
I'm conscious about what I eat.
Then you have the information. How did you get it?
But me, I have, but the whole country.
And it is
needs to
exactly
know.
what we
So-
are doing.
So the point I'm trying to make, I go and my colleagues keep watching what I'm eating. I don't eat eggs in
Why?
those restaurants
Why?
or in those hotels. The reason is this. When we get maize in Uganda, or if it is rejected, because this is not the first time.
Yes.
Our maize has been rejected from
Before.
Kenya before.
Yes.
And it bounces back.
And we do maize
What
bland.
happens to the rejects?
Maize
It
bran.
goes to the maize bland and it is, you know,
Consumed by the chicken.
But we actually
and the
eat it.
aflatoxins, we eat the aflatoxins in the eggs.
Hey, yeah. Pull the tune. Mr. Kabanda, now this brings me to the conversation. How do we fix this? I know time is not on our side, but how do we fix this?
Yeah, let me tell you, this is very possible because the discussions have been in those boardrooms. And for example, let me give you a very quick example. We have a Uganda National Aflatoxins Mitigation Plan, costed. Maybe
And adopted.
let Maif come here, Minister of Agriculture. They should come here. Maybe you need to bring them here and tell this country, maybe they give us accountability. This costed action plan, how far have we implemented it? Secondly, we are still now grappling with the jurisprudence on the right to adequate food in Uganda. But we have some laws. For example, we have the Food and Drugs Act. It has some good provisions. For example, it gives powers to the minister. In fact, the minister, for example, when you look at public health during COVID-19, she invoked those powers
yes.
to come up with those regulations.
guidelines.
Why doesn't she invoke powers? I'm using she because the minister we have now is
Yeah,
a she.
it's a female.
Why
yes.
would the minister in health invoke her powers under the Food and Drugs Act to have these clear regulations? But another thing is also about local governments, because we may talk about the Minister of Health, Minister of Agriculture, but we have also local governments who have the mandate, the power and everything to do within their, under the Public Health Act, but also under the Local Government Act. They can do so many things. Let me also give you an example of restaurants.
This is worrying.
Yes, because let me tell you, everyone just, you go to a restaurant and you eat food. You understand? You don't even care to find out whether this is an approved place to eat from or because other...
But I mean, we are living in a free world. Why can't the powers that be do the justification, the verification? For the time we go into restaurants and we eat food that we know that is actually
But
safe.
let me ask you, can you come to me as a lawyer and can you just find someone on the street and you give them your case?
No, someone has
litigate
to
for
find you. So how many Ugandans are we and how many ministers do we have to actually get in there to ask the questions, the powers that be? So whoever has the mandate needs
Must
to do their job.
So what I'm saying here is, yes, the duty bearers must do their job. But where we started from, Agnes said that Ugandans also have a habit to just eat. People have refused to put conscience on what they pick to eat. We want to appeal to you Ugandans. This is your money, because
It is your life.
yes,
it isn't
because
even
the,
money.
the food is we buy it. I have told people, this is your money. Don't rush. You find someone in a supermarket, they pick, you know, commodities as if someone is chasing them. They don't even stop to check the expiry date, the what, the
Let me
everything.
be very honest with both of you. Agnes Kabanda, we cannot have this conversation for just a few hours. We'll have more of this conversation. To my dear Ugandan, let's look at what we're eating, be conscious enough, but we're going to tap into more of these kind of brains to understand how safe we are, the floodgates of our country with regards to safety of the quality of the foods eaten in this country, the powers that be, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Trade and Agriculture, all these need to evoke their powers to keep us safe. I'll take a break for now. Morning at NTV continues.